This is the Callisto Protocol. What's going on, guys? Citizen JV, and today I want to talk about the Callisto Protocol. And what I really think about this game in general, other than I just recently finished it for the very first time as of last night. It took me a little while because I was playing other games on my library list as well, so bear in mind. Now, what I really want to talk about this game in general, I really think that this game really got a lot of flack. It didn't sell very well from what I understand, but however, I absolutely love this game. I think this game is absolutely amazing. I really think it's a really good and amazing experience, and it's a really good spiritual successor to that of the Dead Space games back, in the previous years that we've had. So what I really love about this game in general, as I previously mentioned, it really just does something not just different, but it does feel a little same from that of Dead Space, obviously, because it's made by Glenn Schofield, and I have a lot of respect for the guy. I think he did an amazing job with this game, and I have a lot of respect towards the developers of this game in general. And so I really think that they did an amazing job with this game. I think this game really just does something. I wouldn't say that this game is a lot scarier than Dead Space, but however, it does have some really good not really mediocre, but I would say it does have some pretty good scares. I did jump once in a while, but it's not like very scarily jump like I normally had when I played the first Dead Space. But however, what I really think what makes the Callisto Protocol so absolutely amazing in its own right, I did like the writing. I think the writing was very on par, in my own opinion. I don't understand why people think that this game was really bad in terms of its story. I think it was a really good story. I really think that this game got so much flack from a lot of people, and I really don't understand why, because it's like, if you love the Dead Space, then you're going to love the Callisto Protocol. And that's where I'm coming from in my own personal preference or opinion, because, it's like, I love the original Dead Space. I think, even though Dead Space 3 was not as good as, like, the previous two in the series, but however, I still think it was a really good game. I think a lot of people really are harping on the Callisto Protocol way too much because they feel like that it felt like more of a Dead Space 3 than that, from that other than, Dead Space 1 or 2. And I get it, I understand it, but overall, I just really think that the Callisto Protocol just was an excellent game. I really love Josh Duhamel. I think he is a really good actor. He did a really good role in this game as Jacob Lee. And, I really did like some good character progression. I think the character progression in this game was really good, in my personal opinion. And so I just want to put this out there because it's like I said, you really have to give a lot of credit to this company, Striking Distance Studios, that made this game. And Glenn Schofield. I give Glenn Schofield a lot of credit. I really do. I mean, I might not know him personally or mano a mano, like face to face, but overall, I actually have a lot of respect for the guy, and I have a lot of respect for his company that made this game, and I think that they did just a stellar job. So, kudos to you guys. Congratulations. That's all I can say. But now, I want to talk about the gunplay in this game, or basically the gameplay. And I really think that it does a good job of having a really good balance of,
just stay low,
and tweaks for what they did from the original Dead Space. I think in the original Dead Space games, the gameplay mechanics were not clunky. It was very fluid. But in my personal opinion, I really think that it was somewhat fluid when it first launched. But now since they did some really nice fixes and bug squashes and all that, this game is by far the smoothest experience that I've ever had. I really think that the gameplay in this game it's a lot of fun. So there is one thing I do want to mention here real quick. When I finished this game, I actually ended up got back into it again, through New Game Plus. What I'm going to say here too is that this game is a lot better on New Game Plus. because, you know, when you get to, it's like what Dead Space does. When you get to one of those kiosks where you can buy your weapons and you can buy your gear or whatnot from the original Dead Space, you automatically get all your stuff back from the very first kiosk or whatever it's called. And what I can say here, like I said, it's better on New Game Plus. I know I said that before. Sorry for the repetition, but it's way better on New Game Plus because you're obviously, and no matter what difficulty you're on, it doesn't matter. I believe the game is still it's a lot more fun. It's way more fun on New Game Plus than the initial first playthrough, in my personal opinion. And I think that's where the Callisto Protocol fun factor is. The New Game Plus definitely really, in my own opinion, definitely saves this game even more than from its initial launch. But however, I really think when it comes to this game, it's fascinating. I love the world. I love the gunplay. I like the character progression with the characters that you don't play as, but the only character that you play as is Jacob Lee, Josh Duhamel, and I think he just, like I said, he just did a really good job. I really like the world of this game. And let's talk about the world here. I think when it comes to the original Dead Space games and the Callisto Protocol, I do believe that in the Callisto Protocol, the world, it's staggering, it's foreboding, it's dark, you know, and that's what it's supposed to be. And I think the Callisto Protocol really captures that amazingly well. I just love the fact that what this game does, not perceivably, but as the visual concept, you know, the graphic fidelity and its video fidelity of this game. And it shows. It really greatly shows. And, you know, it's the reason why it looks that way is because of the engine that they used for the Callisto Protocol, which I believe it was the Unreal 4 or the Unreal 5 engine. I think it was one of the two. I really can't say. But however, I think that this game looks stunning. I love the visual and volumetric lighting. It's amazing. It's one of the best I've seen other than the Dead Space remake video that I made I think it was like about a month ago. And that I didn't really get a lot of views on that video, but however, I think that video went really, really well, and I'm hoping that this video goes well as well. So, now what I really want to get into in the Callisto Protocol as well, what I really love about this game, other than what I previously mentioned, is its story. I really can't say much about the story, really, because it's the reason why I restarted this game on New Game Plus, so that way I can get a whole entire, not just visual context, but it's just the way how the story goes and how it has how it intertwines along with good character progression and vice versa. And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to single player games like this, or even the Dead Space, or like the Uncharted, or however. But I think the Callisto Protocol, like I said, I really think that the story is, I wouldn't say it's excellent, but it's very good, in my personal opinion, because it's like I said, you know, a lot of people really didn't like this game as much as they wanted to, and it's understandable, and I can see why. But however, for me, as a huge Dead Space fan, like I said, and I think it just has to do with the fact that how much I appreciate games like this, and to know that when it comes to story single player games, this game just, it does it good. I really do think that, and that's all I can say about that. Now, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the lighting in this game. I think it's definitely one of the best I've seen, other than from the Dead Space remake. You know, I think when it came to the Dead Space remake, they did a really good job on that visual lighting and volumetric lighting in that game. It has to do with the fact that they used a brand new engine from that of the original Dead Space. They used the Frostbite engine on the Dead Space remake, and all the more reason why it looks absolutely amazing. But in my personal opinion, when it comes to Callisto Protocol, I do believe that it looks absolutely amazing, like I said. I just like the way how it looks. Like I said, it's dark, and it just does something that to what from what the Dead Space remake does, and I think that it really falls. I believe when it comes to the Dead Space remake and the Callisto Protocol, I really do believe that these games in general, when it comes to a remake versus a new IP from Striking Distance Studios, they know what they're doing. And that's the most important thing, though, too. It's like when you know what you're doing and knowing what kind, not just because of the gameplay, but if you want to be able to make a game look really absolutely amazing and looking good, especially when it comes to the new generation of hardware, whether if you're on PC, PlayStation 5, or Xbox Series X and S. But however, all I can say is that, like I said, this game looks absolutely stunning. It really does. And then there's another thing I really kind of want to talk about here, too, is I love the progression in terms of the level design. I think when it comes to the level design, especially with a new IP, other than, comparing it to the Dead Space remake, is that I really love the level design in this game. I think I wouldn't say it's one of the best I've seen, but it's impressive. And I think when it comes to a game like this, other than it being in a new IP, but having some similarities and differences from that of the Dead Space series, you can really instantly tell. But however, I think when it comes to the level systems, different types of levels or stages, as I may call it, they did an amazing job, and I love that. I think it's one of the most important things, though, too, especially if you're going to do really good world building. I think the Callisto Protocol just did an amazing job on that. And there's one thing I do want to add in here as well. I love the combat. I think the combat it's excellent. I really think it, other than it being similar to that of Dead Space, however, but it's very satisfying. It's not as bad as it used to be when the game first launched, and what I mean by that, it was a little slow. It felt a little too slow, and then once they finally did some updates and some patches, I've noticed that they did some really absolutely amazing improvements. And I can instantly tell that right away once I got into New Game Plus, especially. And I think that's where it really lies. Like I said, New Game Plus really adds more of, obviously, the replayability of the Callisto Protocol. But however, I really just think that this game is absolutely amazing. But now I really kind of want to go more into the comparison side as well, other than from Dead Space, is I did feel a little bit like, and it felt like a little bit of an alien movie, as it were. And the reason why I say that is because I think it has to do with its setting. Other than, like with the Alien movies or Alien Isolation, it took place on a spaceship, right? But I think when it comes to Black Iron Prison in this game, like I said, it still feels like an alien movie because it has to do with the atmosphere. And I think when it comes to the atmosphere in this game, it's, like I said, it's one of the best I've seen, other from the Dead Space remake. And that's what I really love about this game in general. And I think it's absolutely amazing. I know I might be praising this game way too much, and people will probably say, "Oh man, you're wrong. This game looks trash." And it's like, you know what? That's your right. It's your prerogative. You can say whatever you want, but I just simply don't care. That's all I can say about that. Now, what I do want to talk about here too is I think the Callisto Protocol, other than it being a new IP, I would definitely recommend this game. I do highly recommend playing it. Don't always judge a game by its cover just because you haven't played it and you say that the game is trash. It's really not, dude. It's really, really not. And like I said, when you get through your first playthrough, it is a little tedious. Yes, it is a little bit more different of the combat mechanics because it's more of a challenge. And now that's one thing I do want to put in here as well. This game is definitely more challenging than from the Dead Space games. It really is, because it has to do with, it's not just about dismemberment. It has to do with the fact that when you get into a little bit of a combat fray, The biophage, which is the enemies in this game, however, will attack you. And there are moments to where it's like you literally have to dodge in order to maintain a proper balance and efficiency to either shoot or melee combat. And that's where the Callisto Protocol falls different from that combat mechanic. And quite honestly, I didn't like it at first, but once I really started getting used to it, I'm just like, yeah. I was very excited to get more into this game. Like I said, I want to get more into the world. I want to get more into the level selection. Not the level selection, but the just the way how the levels are going to interact and tell a little bit of a story to it. And I think that's what the Callisto Protocol does. And, that's what the Dead Space remake, though, too, did as well. I just love the fact that they did some things different in the Callisto Protocol, other than that being similar to that of Dead Space. And to me, I feel like that's an important factor. But however, I still love this game. I still think it's absolutely amazing. So, like I said, I highly recommend playing this game. So all I can say here is, if you want to keep any or put any kind of comments in the comment section below, please feel free to do so. And I'll reply back if and whenever possible, or any questions you might have, I'll be glad to answer them as well. But stay tuned for more future videos here at Citizen JV on YouTube. Peace.